Ashley, I don't know what we're going to talk about this week. Nothing's been going on.
Nothing happened. Nothing interesting happened today at all.
Before we start with the news, though, I want to discuss this bit of... First of all, were you able to open that document?
Yes, I have this document.
Good.
I have this lengthy PDF.
There's so much. I don't know how much of this we'll go through, and both of us will do some summarizing, I think, as we go. I asked for feedback. I said, let's make the official statements for the long table on season 3 of Interview with the Vampire Lestat, as we have just watched it on AMC and AMC Plus. And boy, you gave us some great stuff, folks. You really did. But before we get to all of that, I want to get to some shitty feedback, actually.
Ooh.
This was so spicy, and I enjoyed my retort, and so I'm going to share both.
I'm excited.
On the YouTubes for our episode 7 discussion, The Failures, I will just call her Christian, I believe. Christian? I don't know.
Christian?
Yes. They replied, I dislike the show. Like many Anne Rice's fans, you are not the official fan page.
We don't say that we are. We're saying that we're the unofficial.
I replied, I said, it's literally the unofficial. Someone has a reading comprehension issue, which makes me understand why you don't like this TV show.
Joel will get sassy, and he is exuberant with that block button too. If he don't want you there, you're gone. And I support it.
The original unofficial fan podcast for Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles and the Lives of the Mayfair Witches. Welcome to the Coven, you butterscotch bitches.
You butterscotch bitches.
Okay. Ashley, the Queen is coming. The Queen is coming.
Bitch! Of course the Queen is coming! Okay, I'm so excited. That fucking poster looks amazing with her hand on fire.
On fire?
Shut up!
Very, very reminiscent to a lot of the imagery we got for Romeo and Juliet, which we discussed on last week's Afterlife too. I thought that, or 2 weeks ago, I guess now, that Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet. You remember they had the hand holding the heart for a lot of their imagery.
Yeah.
Y'all, I am excited. The new show is going to be renamed again, The Queen of the Damned. Really does call to question why we didn't use an overall heading of the Vampire Chronicles for this project. It's very close to the Vampire Diaries. Rollin has even said that in some of the After Darks this season. He said
also
that
literally what it's called. They're called the Vampire Chronicles. It's okay that someone ripped that off and did a little thing with it. But I
thought so. That was always my thinking too. I'm like, also, how much... What crossover of the audience? Oh my goodness. Rose is very excited about someone driving down the road. She's excited to see the Queen. The Queen is here, Ashley.
The Queen is here. She's at your house. You are so screwed, Joel.
She is the answer. How many people, genuinely, what is the size of the audience of potential for this show that would be down with it, that are huge Vampire Diaries fans, but aren't aware that there was maybe you didn't read it. Okay, fine. Maybe you didn't love the 94 movie or the Queen of the Damned film, but you are aware, surely, if you're a Vampire Diaries diehard fan, that there was a book series named The Vampire Chronicles.
You are aware, if you're a Vampire Diaries mega fan, that there are other stories about vampires that exist.
You would think so. Anyway, I'm at this point, genuinely, I sort of wish that they would rename it that and then give us the label as a subtitle, because, I mean, you've set the precedent now. You're just going to keep doing this, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to.
That's what we're going to do going forward, clearly. And I mean, it's fine, but it is confusing, and people that aren't as familiar, and I said I didn't think it was going to be confusing with the name change this time. I was very supportive of it. But it has been confusing, mostly because of AMC's dealing with it. Like when you get, like I go through Amazon, but when I get into that AMC Plus section, it's a fucking mess sometimes. I mean, respectfully, AMC, sometimes you got a fucking mess in there. And the episodes don't always make sense where they are. You can't find them sometimes. I kept clicking on the actual season and kept getting sent to After Dark at one point. And I was like, why is this happening? Like, I know I'm a little stoned, but I'm not that stoned.
Well, and even simple things like just the numbering of the seasons and episodes. You know,
right.
This is the Vampire Lestat
season 1, episode 4. Are we calling it season 3, episode 4? And they even do it when they're talking about it. So it's very confusing.
Yes. And that will only get more complex. However, I think the bigger news today, even than that we are going straight into the next book and it is going to be named Queen of the Damned, I think the bigger news is that Hannah Moscovich is now our new showrunner. Roland Jones will remain as executive producer. He will not be in the writer's room for season 4.
This is very
Ashley,
interesting.
do we have feelings?
I feel fine, honestly,
okay.
Because I think that we've talked about Hannah a lot and how talented she is. I don't always, when she's been speaking sometimes in the After Dark After Dark show, there's sometimes that I'm like, I don't know that I agree with your take on that. I mean, sometimes there have been moments where I'm like, I don't know if I'm completely like your take, but also that's okay because my take isn't the take, I'm willing to go along and experience the story, be seduced by the tale, and see what happens. But I do think we're in very, very good hands, very capable hands. And frankly, I love the idea of going into this particular story with a female fucking showrunner. I think that's badass.
Me too. Particularly if it vaguely gives me more hope that we are at least going to get a Maharet. Right? Like I do think she will give Akasha a rival in the form of a woman. I don't, and Gabriella is not set up to be that remotely, so I don't see her playing that role.
No, this Gabriella would never take one for the team.
No. And also she has no history. There's no reason from the books to give her that role, and there's no reason given so far from the show to make a whole heck of a lot of sense either. So I am double finger crossing for again, maybe you simplify it and make the twins a single woman, but
which is exactly what they did in the Queen of the Damned film.
Yes, and I mean, like it wasn't ideal, but I have faith in this team, and it's not just Hannah, it's not just Rollin. It has been a team. These directors have had a lot of impact and a lot of input on the product that we have enjoyed so much over the last 3 seasons. So I am very excited and very hopeful. Let me tell you one other thing that I think is good about moving to Queen of the Damned and moving to Hannah Moscovich. Roland Jones, we already know, is booked in the immediate future. He's doing Grapes of Wrath for AMC. And I know you don't like Steinbeck and Wrath in particular.
I will say, hate the Grapes of Wrath.
Listen, I think Roland is a unique singular talent, and I cannot wait to see his take on what is widely hailed to be like one of, if not the quintessential American novel. Personally, I think it's Huck Finn is the quintessential American novel. I think The Grapes of Wrath is a novel about a time in American history. I think Huck Finn has more to say about the history of our nation in general, but that's my own personal thing. Regardless, though, we are good. We're glad about this because that is happening in 2027. So this would mean our show would be not 2 years away, but probably closer to 3 if Rollin was going to stay the showrunner. Whereas now, I think Hannah, and we've said we hope the writing room has been built. They didn't announce that today. I don't think that's probably the case, but I do think that we could see this happening sooner rather than later, and we could see this in production and filming decently early in 2027. Probably now that means an early 2028 release at the best. But
I hope they pick it up. I hope they pick up production speed. This is getting fucking tedious and everyone's irritated by it. Like Yeah. And I don't just mean with Interview. I don't just mean with the show. I mean with every fucking show.
Yeah, TV period. Yes.
It's so irritating right now that we have to wait 2 years for a new episode of pretty much anything. And it's goddamn ridiculous. With as few episodes as also these shows are producing anymore, we are getting 24 episodes of fucking season every year from shows back in the day. This is just like a bummer, you know? It's just, it's so frustrating to wait that long and then to only get 7 episodes. Ugh.
You know, it's so strange to hear myself playing devil's advocate slightly for the industry at large. One of the things that shift in production design did for us as an industry, though, is give us the breadth of content that we are currently getting. And genuinely, does this show get made if we're only looking at 15, 25 networks that are buying new shows?
Well, yeah,
as opposed to... Right,
we know
every
it would,
company
because it bounced around. It already bounced around as it did, you know. So like, no, I get it, and I get why. I mean, I understand it, but I do think there's starting to become a serious backlash to it because at first it was just 1 or 2 shows, and it was like the highly, highly production value shows. But now it's fucking everything. It's like, sorry.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I had sort of suggested maybe the idea is that we begin to split our cast up a little bit and tell some different stories. If this is going to be Queen of the Damned, well, then none of our current cast is going to be in them flashbacks, y'all. Them flashbacks are pre-Armand.
Right, but I also think that there are opportunities for flashbacks that we will see in the current cast. I think there's going to be flashbacks to I think we might get
You're
a little bit more...
You're going to see a shitload of Marius.
Yeah.
You're going to see a shitload of Marius.
We might get a little bit more Lestat backstory through that. We might get, you know... But also part of this is exploring different characters. And I do get how the fandom is like very... It's the Lestat fandom, you know? It's the people that are like, Louis and Lestat forever. All I want to see is them making out. All I want to see is them kissing and loving each other. That's all I want. I don't want them... and I need both of them in every episode. And that's just not the way that this works or should work, you know? I do appreciate the extra effort that they're doing to include these characters that we love in, you know, in a creative new way into like the storylines. And I expect we'll probably see more of that, you know?
Yes.
But they're going to figure it out. But I mean, yeah, this isn't the Interview anymore.
Having the story of, I mean, and look, they put out a trailer. You should go watch it if you haven't yet. But they put out a little teaser trailer with Sheila speaking. They are going there. They are absolutely doing what the book does with Akasha, and to have a woman tell that story, I think is right. Let me put this out there into the universe. Hannah, get yourself some people of color on that writing staff again.
Ooh.
There were no people of color in the room, apparently, for season 3.
There were no black writers. There were...
that's right. There were no black...
I do believe that there were some...
Latino writer
there
or
was,
something.
Yeah, and I think maybe, you know, but the thing is if you're going to... And this is something that's been discussed in the fandom a lot that we haven't really touched on in our covering of the episodes. But you're having very charged language come out of these characters' mouths that are very racially charged. And I'm not saying it's inappropriate to use. Listening to the interviews with both Jacob and Delaney, neither of them mentioned having any discomfort with that. But they're also both British, and there is a difference between the kind of language that is used in America against our black friends and the kind of language that's used in England against our black friends. And so it is important to have someone in the room to at least give input on those language choices.
Yes. That's
you
put it so succinctly and so directly, Ashley. Like that is, I think it comes up in some of our feedback too that we might get to.
It's been very heavy. It's been very heavy on my heart, and we hadn't discussed it, and I don't want people to think we hadn't discussed it because we were avoiding discussing it. It just wasn't. We didn't we haven't hit on it yet, but yeah.
Yeah, we've had like 2-hour episodes most of the season. So
yeah, and I also think like people that have just found us recently and have found us through our recaps of this season probably are like, they're not really delving into these characters all that much. I'm like, oh guys, we have 100+ episodes where we've talked about the books and we've like talked about these characters so much. So a lot of the times we don't need to do a deep dive on like why they're broken. We've talked about it so many times, but like, I don't want anyone to think
given Marius thorough examination, friends, over the 10 years now that we've been talking.
Oh, my God.
Ashley, do you remember when we went back and reread the Vampire Lestat and really broke it down? The first time we got to Marius and you and I were both like, Marius is a real scumbag. Do you remember loving Marius? I dreamed of meeting Marius one day.
I was kind of in love with Marius.
Yeah. Ashley and I really discovered some things about ourselves and mentors as we revisited that book.
Thank
in
God
the
I never
past.
had any creepy mentors. I'm so grateful.
I have thought so many times how lucky we both are of how wholesome all of our fucking professors were in college.
Oh, I
don't know about you. I didn't have a single one that ever even gave a stray thought in that direction. I'm like, yeah, I would have been down.
No, not at all. They were wonderful and giving and loving and in
all the appropriate ways.
In all the appropriate ways, like God bless. I mean, yeah. Whew.
Okay, I missed this. There was a great interview with Alan Taylor, which I don't think I mentioned it. Alan Taylor directed the finale episode. Alan Taylor's
I
directed.
We did talk about that a little bit.
Maybe we did.
Maybe we
He's directed so much wonderful television.
We've talked so much the past 2 months.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I got a copy paste though in our chat group about the Alan Taylor of it all. He did this interview where he discussed that his version of the finale was almost unrecognizable from what ended up airing on TV.
Which is bonkers.
First of all, it is to me, but also it very much ties into the idea that we had heard early in the season, Rollin talking about, if this is our finale, it's very fitting as a series finale if it needs to be, et cetera, et cetera. And people were like, how could that be a series finale? Specifically, there's a lot of concert footage that they shot and then cut. The concert did get shot. Somebody asked last week, and you and I were both like, "Nope, it didn't get shot. Of course, it didn't get shot." No, it did. It totally did get shot.
Just
actually, or most of it.
Some of it, at least, they didn't include it. But I have no problem with that. Like, I didn't need the concert at the end of this. I didn't need that. I know
specifically if you're going to leave it, if the point is to leave us with a cliffhanger and like really like, then yeah, great. Lay the concert in some way that is a big payoff for the end of episode 1 or something, right?
Absolutely. I agree.
Okay, but so many people had spoken to this idea that they watched episode 1 or the final finale and they were like, what is, how did they do that? And they think they're going to leave it. Where's the announcement? It was coming. They had done it.
I knew. I tried to reassure you all with the utmost confidence that this announcement was coming on this very day.
Ashley Hamilton commented on the post on the Facebook group about with the teaser trailer. And Ashley says, "I know she's evil, she meaning Natasha, but hear me out. Let her cook just a little."
I feel like she might take care of a lot of problems that we have currently.
Look, not all men, but a great deal of men.
Yeah.
A large display of men.
I mean, there's a lot of women picking the bear is all I'm saying.
Okay, Denise on Instagram commented on, I think, the post from AMC and said, I mean, the story is already there. They don't need to rewrite it. They just need to adapt it for TV. Is that really so difficult, AMC? Honestly, they should just let Christopher Rice take over. I'm convinced he'd do an amazing job adapting his mother's work. And someone replied to Denise and said, I mean, I don't think a man should be writing a season based around a female oppression, no matter whose son he is, and I don't think Anne would want that either. someone else replied and said, but he is somehow allowing all of this, even if it's just for legal reasons. He allows this. Okay. First of all, the sanctimoniousness of at least two of those commenters, I wanted to do a little dramatization of, but more than that, I included this as a broad statement because Ashley, genuinely, I used to be so bad. I would be up 2 a.m. in the morning and Kelly's like, what are you doing? Why didn't you come to bed? I'm like, but someone is wrong on the internet. The only thing I do that about now, and the sanctimoniousness kills me from both sides. People will, with their whole chest, say, Anne would never approve. It's a sacrilege to her memory. And a different group of people, they're like, it's the fucking Sneetches with stars or whatever the
star-bellied Sneetches are the best on the beaches.
Okay, the other group is standing on their hill, and they're going with the same sanctimoniousness. Christopher and Anne approved of this series from the very beginning. Anne was involved in choosing Sam. Okay, bitches. First of all, we've been here the whole time. We can say with authority, we watched the Facebook posts and the lives. Okay, we were, Ashley and I were on our fucking computers watching Lady Anne speak. I remember the tactful disdain with which she approached them leaving it. She was not angry or ugly in her posts about it, but she made clear she was saying the last of the things that she would be saying about it, and they would be making a show about it. And honestly, in retrospect, it's easy to realize why that was the case. They had sold the rights in perpetuity. AMC owns the adaptation rights to the Vampire Chronicles and the Mayfair Witches. Anne and Christopher can never get them back. They could buy them back, I guess, if they wanted to. Christopher's not going to do that. He doesn't have the amount of money that it would take now either, honestly. Okay, so first of all, no, Anne didn't cast Sam. Christopher didn't write the pilot script. They don't love and adore this show and just have to stay quiet because they want to appease the book purist fans. No, that is not true. Also, you do not know that Christopher hates this show, and you do not, unless I say that. You know what? Eric Shaw Quinn knows whether Christopher hates this show or not. Yeah. The rest of us are just fucking guessing. And we don't know whether Anne would have loved it either. I believe with my whole heart. Y'all, I was there. At the very least,
I think she would love Sam.
And Jacob too, I think, and genuinely. When we were there, we were fucking there in 94 when she ranted and raved about that Tom Cruise casting, and she couldn't handle this movie, even though it was her script that they were working from, by the way. And then they sent her the VHS tape, and she watched it, and she was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, they did it! They did it! They made my movie!" And she took out full-page ads in the New York paper, in the New Orleans paper, in the L.A. paper, and said, I was so wrong. Anne Rice fans, please go. Please go. It's a beautiful work of art and a masterpiece and blah, blah, blah. Y'all, she would have apologized about this show is my guess. And she would have kissed Rollins' ass, and she would have loved Mark Johnson. And I'm telling you, she and Eric Bogosian would have begun a passionate, torrid love affair. I mean, were you telling me that woman wouldn't have followed her around in fancy costuming? Yes, he would have. But none of us can say that with authority. We can guess, we can speculate, we can state our opinions.
It's the whole thing. Like, I'm not gatekeeping. I can't. My feelings about any of this do not get to be the end-all, be-all of everyone's experiences. I'll share what my thoughts and feelings are, and you can digest them and decide, hey, that was something I hadn't thought about, or hey, that bitch is a little wacky. Whatever's clever, friend. Like, we're all just existing here. This fandom has been very irritating as of late. Not our crew.
No.
But I would say number one, the spoilers have been fucking rampant. I thought better of our community than that. It's just been
insane.
Horrible.
Yeah.
I thought much better of our fan community than that. And then just acting like a bunch of fucking entitled ass Star Wars fans. Nothing pisses me off more. I was thinking about that today because we're going to talk about Moulin Rouge, and I was literally walking out of my way to the car thinking about how this was at the height of my complete infatuation with Ewan McGregor because he just played Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I was thinking, and then that got me off thinking, I was like, I love Star Wars so much that I even loved Attack of the Clones. I mean, even loved, the Attack of the Clones, episode 2, which nobody likes but me.
I agree. Attack of the Clones, I think, is pretty much. Well, I say that there's all those people that think that The Last Jedi is really, really terrible. But I think of normal Star Wars fans, I think Attack of the Clones is generally considered to be the worst one. I'm with you though.
I've got a great love it, and my thing is that
those.
I'm just going to enjoy what I enjoy, and
that's
you.
come
You
around.
don't have to talk me out of enjoying what I like. That's the other thing, is that people feel like they have to no, I have to talk you into my point of view about this. It's fucking fiction, y'all. It's fiction. We're talking about fucking vampires. Can we calm down a little bit?
I was trying to explain this to my youngest son the other day, Remy. He and I can't remember what it was specifically about, but he was telling me about somebody's movie opinions and whoa, I told him that was stupid. And I'm like, okay, first of all, maybe their opinion is stupid, but that's a thing. That's an inside opinion. Your opinion might be stupid too. And when you state out loud on a regular basis that other people's opinions are, then people feel very free to state that your opinions are stupid as well.
And I'm not going to say when I was Remy's age, I did not straight up tell people they had stupid opinions.
With my whole chest, right?
With my whole chest,
sure.
Up until not too terribly long ago, up with my whole chest. But it's something as I've grown and learned and evolved as a human being, I realized that people can have different perspectives on things. I'm not talking about human rights and shit, y'all, but I mean, fucking fictitious vampires. Yeah, we can have a difference of opinion and just leave it at that. You could think a different Batman is the best Batman for me, and I don't have to have a meltdown about it.
Oh man. Okay, so you and I had talked about adaptations recently, and I was talking about all the Count of Monte Cristos that I've got lined up.
I have to pause. I just realized I didn't plug in my charger, and my computer's about to die. Give me 2 seconds.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm all good.
Okay, awesome.
That was mid-rant.
Hang on just a second. Yeah, no, it's all right. I'm glad actually that it happened because I got a message. Amanda Ballinger wrote an essay. Amanda is actually an English professor.
This is not charging. Hang on a second. Motherfucker.
Oh no. Oh no. That's how Australians say it. Oh no.
Don't mind me. I work in IT. I dabble in IT.
You know my favorite thing about my son's working at Whataburger, Ashley?
Whataburger?
The straws. Their straws are fucking amazing. They're super long, first of all. So even in my giant mug that I like to carry, I get like a 2-inch, 2.5-inch.
You to see that this cup is larger than my head. Also by almost a half.
So you and I talked about adaptations recently, though. We were talking about how many Count of Monte Cristos that I have lined up in my to watch list after I finish the novel again. But how many different takes have we had on various Shakespeare adaptations, right?
Pride
we did
and
Romeo and
Prejudice.
Juliet recently. It takes on Pride and Prejudice. I think about how important Clueless is to our generation, for instance, right? And Clueless is just another take on Emma. There's nothing wrong with the original version. Clueless is also interesting and culturally valid, and I do think will stand the test of time as something to be noted.
I'd sit down and watch Clueless before I sat down and watched the Gwyneth Paltrow Emma.
100%. There's the Emma's fine. Clueless is great though, y'all. Clueless is so good.
Yeah.
But West Side Story. West Side Story is just Romeo and Juliet, except it's not just Romeo and Juliet, right?
It's an adaptation that took it and took it
further. Somewhere.
13.
Okay, I'm sorry.
10 Things I Hate About You. 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah,
Is that it?
exactly.
That's fucking
Taming of the Shrew.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is we're rolling, and you mentioned like you have heard Hannah say a few things specifically about like lore or like a take on a character, and you're like, well, that's not how I felt about it. There were things this season that I was like, but that's not what I felt when I read this book. However, the overall story that they have told now, as far as this season's journey goes, was incredibly satisfying, a morsel that I will savor for years and years to come. My guess is we'll get the same thing from Hannah. Any individual piece of it, you and I may go, that was a piece of parsley that I did not care for, actually, in the presentation, right?
Someone snuck some cilantro in. That tasted a little soapy.
But I'm saying, like, we got a scrumptious Chinese meal waiting for us. Coming soon, and I hope sooner rather than later. All right, to your feedback. Here's what we're gonna do. First of all, many of you wrote, because I said, give me your official statements for the long table, which I thought was interesting framing. Some of these are genuinely essays. We're gonna do what we can to bring a lot of them to light, throw our little notes in. However, I've literally shared a document of this stuff with Ashley, so we can go back and forth, and it's not all just me reading your thoughts. I will perform occasionally in character, but this will be better.
I would love to.
All right, I'm going to start with Jolie.
I like to read things like that from our local Facebook groups. I really like to act those out because they're hilarious.
Man, okay, I've mentioned it before, but one of my favorite podcasts is My Brother and Me. They do a show that's just like a comedy show, advice for their audience, basically. But within the podcast, they do this thing called Munch Squad, where the oldest brother basically like reads press releases from food companies about various things. He has a character, though, that does Munch Squad sometimes called Count Donut, and it's like a Count Dracula with the accent and everything.
I love it.
Except that he'll be Count Dracula reading the press release, and then when he gets to a quote in the press release from like the VP of Dunkin' Donuts or whatever, he switches to his normal or like a different presentation that for a normal person. So he is talking like this about the donut release, and then, well, we're excited today for Dunkin's Donuts new launch, said VP of Marketing Thomas Andrews. It's my favorite thing ever. So we're going to maybe do some of that. I don't know. I've set a high bar for us. Jolie, this is a very important question, Ashley. I can't believe we didn't get to it sooner. Jolie wants to know the burning question I think we're all asking. Do you think that this all means we are one step closer to getting a new audiobook narrator for Blood Communion?
Well, they are redoing them.
Our beloved Eric Shaquin, I've mentioned him already. Eric was the narrator for the final novel of the Vampire Chronicles.
Not listened to it yet.
I think that is perhaps the choice that many will choose in the end. I like Eric. I think Eric's even a pretty good narrator. His take on all of the characters, but particularly Lestat, is so different than Simon Vance, who had narrated basically all of them up to that point.
It's really hard to transition. It really is.
Yeah.
Truly.
All right. Jolie says, honestly, though, I love this season. I absolutely loved it. I love that it's not linear with the books. It keeps it new, makes a story that I know backwards and forwards completely fresh for me. I don't love how Daniel's storyline went and ended because he's so bitter, but I'm interested in seeing how they wrap it up. I'll just interject there. I felt that way a little bit, too. And the one thing that I will say is this gives us a place for Daniel to need to go. Daniel is not solved yet, right? And if we are going to do Night Island, if we are going to do a Devil's Minion storyline where we get some, my guess is flashback scenes with the young Daniel, that actor is so good, and we get some Eric Bogosian and Asad together, part of that journey will be, I think, Daniel finding some solace of his own and some balance and some peace of his own.
I think in my brain, he should have a far more bigger beef with Armand than Lestat.
Strong agree. That's the one thing I think that makes the most sense. But I think that will be part of that season or that special or that series or whatever it ends up being. And I really do hope that we get it.
Like working through that and figuring it out, because that is part of what those two characters have to do eventually,
The songs are all bangers, Jolie says, and I'm obsessed with Stained Glass Eyes and Brutal Love. May Ann Rice bless Daniel Hart and Sam Reed. They have done right by her in every aspect of their work together. Is my camera glitching out for you?
You are glitching.
Okay, in case that is going to continue the whole time, let me see if I can switch cameras real quick. Hang on just a second, because I don't need all of that. Ah, shit, am I going to have to...
What's it do?
I don't know what it's doing. Hang on. All right.
Oh, it stopped.
Friends, I definitely am going to look different in this remainder of the episode.
But you don't look orange like you did. I was so alarmed.
Ashley, the sadness of my life might be that I was not recording when I changed cameras and you said, "Oh, why are you orange like the president?"
Why do you look like the
Yeah, I was that flavor of orange. I do look different. The framing is slightly different. Something happened. I use iPhone cameras for these things, and for whatever reason, it went a little jiggery pokery on me.
It went nuts.
What's going on? What you're going to see in the episode is like a few moments later, and now we're back.
We're back.
The real sadness is, Ashley, we have done one feedback so far and actually have not finished.
For like 30 minutes already.
30 minutes and have not finished the one feedback, by the way. Okay, here we go.
We're focused now.
All the songs are bangers. Oh, no, we did that. God bless Anne Rice, bless Daniel and Sam Reed. Okay. The Queen. Here we go. The Queen, Nancy Ward says, my official statement. She puts it so succinctly. Many of you wrote beautiful essays. I do not want to downplay that. But Nancy just cuts to the heart of it. My lusty little heart will always have a corner to permanently hold a little grudge against them for failing to make Marius a beautiful Roman that I've always been dreaming of for centuries. I understand the reason for their decision. But failure!
Failure!
So there we were, and there I was, and here I am, and they brought us here, so here we are.
This is not the Marius that we know and love to hate. Hopefully,
and I don't think they're done with him.
No, 100% they're not done with him. They're not done with him. That's great.
Heyerdahl is a great actor. I think he's going to be very good, and just like there have been layers revealed to Armand, there have been layers revealed to Lestat, both good and bad. There have been layers revealed to Louis. I think the same will be true of Marius in the end. Although I will say, we have seen it even today in our Facebook group. Rollin was not wrong when he says the fan base has a complicated feeling about Marius.
I have complicated feelings about Marius.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
And I will say that this season really overcomplicated my feelings for Gabriella that I had not really. But also they took her up to 11 and then added a little extra.
A little stank on you?
Yeah, they put a little bit more stank on her.
From Kelly. This is Kelly's feedback on the season overall. Magnus is just an ugly Tig Notaro. And I love Tig Notaro.
That is ridiculous.
She overheard me talking about how mad she was about ugly Magnus and how he horrified her. She's like, it's not that he horrifies me.
It's that he looks... I'm putting Tig Notaro's face on him.
Seems like somebody's mad at Tig Notaro and trying to do like a bad impersonation, and I don't approve of it. I'm like, okay,
oh my God,
right,
that's hilarious.
Okay. Ooh, this is great feedback. This was actually on our Montreal discussion. I had mentioned the fridging the girlfriend meme. Okay. The woman in a refrigerator is a Batman reference. I was thinking it was a Green Lantern thing. It comes from Batman, the comic book, The Killing Joke. This is Maris Olm on YouTube. Joker assaults, kills, and then stuffs Barbara Gordon into a refrigerator as a way to psychologically torture and drive Gordon to commit murder. Joker does this as a way to prove to Batman that anyone is one bad day away from becoming a villain, which doesn't work in this case, by the way. I agree with you guys. This is not the last we've seen of Claudia. Remember that Louis gave that same diary to Regina, and they made a point to show that. Maybe that will allow Claudia's spirit to find her and try to possess her. Had not thought about the fact that Regina ended up with one of Claudia's diaries. And she held on to it because Regina would have been planning to sell that shit on the black market. Maybe they will even try to use Merrick to summon Madeline. Maybe that's how they'll keep Delaney on the show. Also be a good way to bring back that actress in the character of Merrick Mayfair in case...
Because she was fabulous.
The Mayfair show is not going to use them appropriately.
Yeah. I really like this feedback. I like this feedback from Derek a lot.
Perfect.
Derek Lord, this season was a journey for me. I loved the first episode, and then I got bummed out as the season went on. It was nothing like the book. But then I came around to enjoying it for what it was and was able to enjoy the rest of the season. Hi, Joel. Someone felt exactly the way you did.
I was like, strumming my pain with his fingers. Yes, Derek's singing my life with his words.
My final verdict is great TV show, not a great adaptation. And this is an interesting point because he said, imagine there's a really cool high school where the novel The Vampire Lestat is assigned reading. And there's one slacker at class who said, it's going to take me longer than 7 hours to read this book. I'll just watch the TV series. Would this kid be able to have a coherent discussion of the novel after watching this TV series? I don't think so.
Very, very little. I mean, particularly, I think their first thing is going to be wasn't prepared for all the incest.
Was really surprised.
In a book that we discussed in class. And they'll be like, these vampires don't fuck. These vampires don't. What are you talking about?
I mean, it's a little weird, but
it's great. A complex mother-son listen, we talked about it in our discussion. All of these things that they brought out in the show, genuinely, all of them, even Marius's scattered brained sort of overcome. Marius never exactly acts like that, but we do see what the show is showing us is that sort of mental thought line and that sort of behavior stems from Akasha. And what it's hinting at is that maybe it doesn't actually stem from Akasha.
Right.
And the books do that. The books do show that happening to people. So everything, all of even the things that we picked nits with, it's just as we said, it's somebody looked at the book and they were like, this is my precious favorite part. And so they amplified that in a way that you and I or Derek or somebody else might not have been.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really like that thought, though. Imagining myself reading this as a class reading project. I love that idea. Courtney Hahn said,
I want to be in that class.
Right? I definitely had teachers that were maybe almost cool enough. Courtney Hahn says, ups and downs with the season overall. Lestat is my favorite fictional character, and he is brought to screen beautifully by Sam. I don't know for certain if he's found his career-defining role yet, but in my mind, he has.
Yeah, it will at least now permanently have made the bio, right? When even if Sam does the next Godfather saga or something, right? If he's the next Michael Corleone style character that has a 3-movie giant trilogy that becomes a pop culture landmark. Yeah. Still, though,
if he becomes James Bond, he's still going to be the Vampire Lestat.
That's what I'm saying. It'll be known for and the Vampire Lestat. Yeah. And the thing is that this will only get bigger over time. Anne's work has done exactly that. If you go into the comments on any of these public posts, every single time I see somebody going, is this show any good? I've never given it a try. Or, I didn't even know they made this. How do you like these books and not ever have heard of it still? I don't understand. They don't promote it properly. We can all agree. But I did know they were doing one.
Right. Well, I mean, we knew they were doing it and followed it around like a couple of stalkers, so.
That's true.
We are not your average fan. A little another nugget from Nancy.
Yeah.
This was but the first of many long tables Lestat will experience in his life. That's so true. At the end of each adventure he has, at least in the novels, he experiences the inevitable and figurative mirror held up in front of him, which he is forced to take a deep look at a different part of himself each time. I hope they make this a recurring theme moving forward.
Nancy, I hadn't thought. Okay, so first of all, I had not thought of the connection to the Prince Lestat trilogy with Lestat jumping up on the table and stomping down it as he kicks the goblets off and tells all of his muses off.
Until I saw one of the other comments that someone had made, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
It's a spoiler for the details, so we won't get there. But in the first book of the Prince Lestat trilogy, that scene happens, but not in a dream sequence or in his brain. And
he just does it.
So the idea that you could revisit that in it's like poetry, it rhymes, is like, ooh, but also Nancy's 100% right. There's a long table, a literal long table at the end of the Queen of the Damned novels. Like at the end of that novel, all the people that matter are literally sitting around a long table.
Having a big fucking meeting about the shit that's hit the fan.
Guess who's at the head of that table, y'all?
It's my floating head. It's my floating head.
Yeah, it's Ashley hovering above me and Judah.
I love it.
Square. Okay. As if a season 4 announcement, as if a new title change, as if a new showrunner weren't enough news for 1 week, Ashley, Anne Rice's Immortal Universe has partnered with Renegade Game Studios to produce TTRPG. For the olds, that's a tabletop role-playing game. That means like Dungeons and Dragons.
That's right.
TTRPG titles, plural, for hit television series, including Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire, Anne Rice's Mayfair Witches, and more. Okay, first of all, I just want to point out, this is a Renegade Game Studio deal with AMC, not just with Anne Rice's Immortal Universe. So, Walking Dead fans, my guess is that there may be some plans for something like that in the future, too. AMC's got some other properties. This is obviously one that lends itself to role-playing. I will also just say, Our Lady Anne would have hated this. She would have hated it. She would have been this might have been why she left, if they had hinted that they wanted to do this, or have asserted, hey, technically our contract does allow us to do, and she would have been like, fuck that, it does.
She might have just got a whiff of it, and that is why she shuffled off this mortal coil.
Yeah, I mean, genuinely, this news might have killed her, y'all. I don't mean to make fun, but first and foremost, I don't think the thrust of this game is going to be primarily for us to play these actual characters. I think the real fun of this game will be to inhabit her world through characters we create based on the rules that they lay it out, right? However, you're for sure going to have the stats for Lestat and stats for Louis and stats for these other characters so that you can interact with them as NPCs. Like, of course you will. Of course you will. And of course, individual game masters can make their own, decisions and let you divvy it up and play the main roles if you want, I'm sure. It's going to be so much fun.
It's a role-playing game. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
It's a backer kit deal, so this is going to be like a Kickstarter style thing. You'll be able to promote it and buy into it early. I think it starts in October, maybe September, but there will be a big announcement when you can back it. It'll be like a month. They'll run the campaign, and the first launch is going to be the New Orleans rule set and like some resin dice and things like that. But if you're a Dungeons and Dragons fan, if you were a Vampire the Masquerade fan, is obviously the one that would have the most connection here. But if you've ever played any of those games, that's what this is. And we're not just going to they're going to do the New Orleans set, but then they're going to do a Paris set. Y'all, they're going to do a Dubai set, I'm sure. They're going to do a Rockstar Tour rules set. They'll release, I'm sure, Mayfair Witches sets as well, which all of that stuff can connect. You can find your little corner of the universe that you want to tell stories in. It will be an expensive hobby if you end up getting all of them, like any RPG fan can tell you.
Yeah.
Very cool shit, though. Very cool shit.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think that's going to be a lot of fun for a lot of people. It's going to make a lot of nerds real fucking happy is what it's going to do.
It's going to piss off White Wolf. I can tell you the folks that do the World of Darkness are unhappy, I would imagine. They did what?
This PDF is 22 pages, Joel.
I knew it was long. Some of it is blown up too. All right, I'm going to get some of Mal's in here.
Okay.
Which, by the way, I made this whole thread for the official statements, and then Mal just posted this in the Facebook group and said, I probably should put this in the thread. Anyway, Miles says, I saw a lot of negativity about this season for the Vampire Lestat, and I've been a bit isolated by trying to avoid that negativity because as a fan of the book, I actually really liked the show and wanted to give myself time to celebrate it before engaging with criticism. Mal, this is such a healthy outlook. Even myself, right? Like, I do think if I didn't have to come to you all and say some interesting things and try to put on a little show every week, then the Nikki of it all probably wouldn't have pissed me off quite so much, right? But I needed to have thoughts about that episode alone and come and talk to you all about it. And so my negative thoughts in that moment were amplified. Whereas if I'd had the whole season and sat with it, my opinion would have been more balanced.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what everybody's facing, right? On the flip side, though, if this all got dumped on Netflix and we all watched it at our own pace, then we wouldn't have any conversation about it at all. I like the weekly drops.
It's hard. It's too hard to parse out, I think, in a binge. I wouldn't. I mean, you guys saw what happened. What happens to me if I watch two things at the same time? I get horribly confused, and it's not good. It's not good.
Once I realized what this season was, I gained a strong appreciation for it. With only the vaguest and most general of spoilers, I want to explain why that is. AMC's adaptation of Interview with the Vampire was a retelling of the book, and it really had to be because of how much they changed from the source material. This is such an interesting take, Mal. I like this. The book, The Vampire Lestat, is easier for a modern audience to connect with, as well as being, in my opinion at least, more entertaining than the novel Interview with the Vampire. So they didn't need to tell us that story with the TV show. They needed to show us instead what they were changing to fit with the story that they want to tell for the whole of the Immortal Universe. And most of that took place in the modern day. Again, many people have said there's so little of the book that's the rock star is like bookends. Why did they make it all about the rock star? And I do get that. But I think Mal has the heart of it. What they did was they took the things out of the Vampire Lestat that were very useful to the narrative that they were telling and that were needed as like supports for this little arc of music that they wanted to tell. And I think you've already said it. They will dive in more to, first of all, I think Lestat's going to be our narrator next season. I think we're going to listen to the rest of those Failures albums, probably, for instance, right?
At least at the beginning of things, like.
I think Lestat will be the conduit through which we get the flashbacks and the telling of the Queen story and of Marius' story and etc.
I mean, I don't want to get too deep into my contemplation for how that's going to go because I didn't think very little of this season kind of went the way I expected it to go.
I know, right? I see the TV show as a companion to the book, not a replacement or a translation of the book, because it doesn't need to be. The book's still there. This is an exploration of Lestat, but from a different perspective, a new perspective. Boy, I love that.
I do too. That's a really great take.
Let's see. I see in it the echo of the message I found in the book when I first read it, which I can best convey by quoting my favorite of Lestat's songs. Be broken, unlovable. This ain't no cry for help. This is a song for all the beautiful unwell. Listen, the songs. When you and I broke down this book the last time when we actually did it over several episodes, the number one thing that I found disappointment in was, in fact, the poetry is not great. The glimpses of the songs that we get through Anne are disappointing. And they do not meet
I always kind of dreaded that depiction of him because of that. It's not my favorite part of her writing at all. It's not songwriting is very different from poetry, in a lot of ways, because you have to think, well, I guess it shouldn't be, but it is. I don't know. Songs are different than books, and I don't know. It's different.
Songs are different than books. It is different.
Those were wordy and tedious.
Susan Reed says, the last 7 weeks have been wonderful and so much freaking fun. And boy, isn't she speaking for all of us? Like, honestly, wonderful. As a book super fan in particular, I never thought we'd ever get this far with someone playing Lestat the way that Sam brings him to life.
Hallelujah. He's just a gem.
we have that now, and I'm super grateful. Yes, it's different from the Anne Rice Bible, but honestly, I really don't care in the end. I would have loved seeing more wolf action and more period scenes, but in the end, the performances were riveting. Okay, I want to shout out Assad, she says. They went hard on crazy gremlin Armand.
Yeah, they
and
did.
He was spectacular. Armand happens to be my least favorite character in the Chronicles. He's driven me nuts since day one. As a Lestat superfan, he is literally written as Lestat's polar opposite and his endless desperation and codependent needs. Lestat is like this too, but the way he projects this to the world is in stark contrast to the way Armand deals with these things. Assad nailed Armand.
Yeah, he's so great. He's so great. This season in particular like those last couple of episodes, holy shit. And that finale, Assad is the star of that finale for me. He just kills it.
Man, I reposted today. I'm pretty sure I reposted it, but there was this wonderful video of this guy going, I can't believe Armand did all these. And then he pops in a clip of Assad and he goes, but it was just a little boo-boo, as he's just like watching him, and it instantly forgives him and just gets starry-eyed over Assad's performance.
That's hilarious.
It is interesting because there is so much difference between the book descriptions of Armand and Assad's performance of him in the show. And yet, one thing that is consistent is that captivating and enrapturing beauty. Even Lestat, who is just like, screw you. I mean, he's the one that calls him a gremlin. But even Lestat is like, God damn, what a
he's compelling.
Captivating man. Yeah,
Yes.
What a captivating young man. Give us some of Melissa's feedback there, Melissa Bouchard.
Okay, so Melissa, we love you, Melissa. It took me a while to come up with my official statement because I still had a lot to unpack, process, and think about. This will most likely be quite long, but I'll start with my official conclusion. I loved it. The whole series is a work of art, and this season is a masterpiece. From the incredible performances of the cast, the extraordinary music, both the songs and the score, praise to the score, every single piece of dialogue, everything. So much work and passion was put into this from everyone involved, and it shows. I can understand we can't agree on everything, but people who can't appreciate the artistic beauty of it or calling this season trash or cheap or unworthy should get their head out of their own ass and move on already. That's my girl.
Listen. For those of you who have not met Melissa in person, the fact that she suggests anyone to pull their head out of their ass, she is the sweetest Canadian. I'm seeing her they should pull their head out of their ass, and it's delightful. It's like Kermit telling you to pull your head out of your ass.
It is. And I can only say, look what we've done to the Canadian.
I know, right?
Bless it. I've talked about all the things I love this season in more details under each episode's thread. So for my final statement, I want to talk about my initial struggle and why I think this season has been so divisive. It actually took me lots of thinking and reading other people's takes to fully embrace this season and fully understand why I was even struggling to begin with. Some people have said it's a bad adaptation of TVL, and I do not agree at all. I think it actually comes down to interpretation. We all read the same book, but we did not all get the same things from it. Some parts that were fundamental to me were not necessarily as important for other people. Oh, this is interesting. I like this a lot. Rollins said in an interview that what struck him while rereading the book and preparing for the show was something that Gabrielle said to Armand about failure. It shook him because at first he didn't understand why she was saying that, and then he realized that Lestat was in the room with them. He figured she was really saying it for Lestat, and that was the trigger, so to speak. The whole season has been about Lestat's failures and his relationship with his mother. I personally don't even remember that part, and yet that's what Rollin got fixated on and what drove the entire season. I love that. What struck me most is actually almost the opposite of that. For me, it's when self-destructive Nicky confesses to Lestat that he went to Paris with him in the hopes they would fail, but Lestat actually always made it work. Lestat was the light, Nicky was the dark. Lestat succeeded and was happy. Nicky felt not good enough and was depressed. For me, Lestat and Nicky's relationship has always been more important and more central to Lestat than his relationship with Gabrielle. And I have never ever seen Lestat as a failure. I saw him as the one who always succeeded. So of course I struggled at times to understand what they were doing and why they made Gabriella so important and why Lestat was framed as a failure. From what I've seen and read online for different people, different parts of the book were key to the story and to Lestat's characters. For some, the most fundamental part is the wolf's fight and the effect it had on Lestat. Wink, wink. For others, it's Lestat's active search for Marius and answers. That's more up my alley, and we got none of that. For others, it's the fact that Lestat's vanity wakes Akasha, and none of these were presented in this season. So, of course, it can be disheartening when you are sure it is actually the heart and soul of the book. My point is, is any of these interpretations better than the other? No. Could they have covered more of the books and let certain things go? Yes, but that's the story Rollin and Hannah and others wanted to tell, and it came from love for the source material, and for me, that's the most important. Also, even though I've read TVL twice in the last year and a half, and it's still pretty fresh in my mind, this season has made me very curious, and I want to read it again soon with Rollin's point of view in mind. Same, girl, same. Maybe I will this time around and discover things I'd overlooked before. And isn't that just amazing to read a book over and over again and be surprised to find new things in it every time? I'm going to cry. I love that.
I mean, that's so, I don't think Melissa even intentionally did it. But that's so close to the Lestat quote that I love so much. Books offer one hope, that opening their pages, one might fall into them, discover a new universe, and finding that new universe be saved. The Vampire Lestat is my favorite novel, and this is a beautiful tribute to my favorite novel. That's the way that I look at it. This is akin to a Renaissance painting of the Vampire Lestat novel, right? Mm-hmm. It is a snapshot in some ways of what is a much larger tome, but that is so different than what we have of the Mayfair Witches, for instance, right? If the Witching Hour was, and you and I both have a great deal of love for the Witching Hour, but it's not either one of our favorite novel. If it was our favorite novel, what a tragedy for us as we sit here and look at, I think there's someone in our audience who that is, y'all, I got so fucking full over the idea. Melissa, thank you for your wonderful words. I really love that quote. I do think books offer one hope, I believe, is going to have to be my next tattoo.
And I love fiction is the truth inside the lie, Stephen King.
Yeah.
That's the same sort of thing, it's every time you open a book, you go on a journey. And for the books that we love, that we reopen time and time again, there are new things to be found there every single time. And when you read a book we've talked about this extensively. When you read a book at, 14, 15, you read it again at 45, that's a very different book, and you have a very different take and perspective on it. Different things mean more at different times in your life. Things that you thought were the most important thing, when you reread it, you discover a whole different layer to it. And I love, that's one of the magical things about reopening your favorite books. What a gift.
They say you can't go home again, or, every time you enter the stream, it's a different river or whatever. But the book doesn't change, and yet it does. And the book remains, and as we come and go, right? And I mean, we, the human species, come and go. My youngest daughter is reading the Vampire Lestat right now.
She's already done with interview?
Yeah, she's done with interview, and she was just telling me last night that one of the passages that she says, Lestat's so gay. Do you know what he said? He said, I think I love him. And I said, he's talking about Nikki? And so anyway, she's reading a passage about Nikki and Lestat right now. I'm guessing he's still mortal at this point. But what it means for her will be different than my journey with it at any point, right? Even my first journey with it, when I was basically the same age that she is right now. And that is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm glad to help some of you all process your journey with this TV series and with these books as we sort of synthesize all this together. It is genuinely a very lovely dance that we're all doing,
and to have this conversation, to keep having our conversation, it's a gift. We can to love something this much that you want to continue to talk about it is a gift. there's not enough of that in this world. Things that people just adore and love deeply and could talk about it for days and hours, you know? And if you have something like that, do not feel bad. Do not feel weird or strange or othered. You're not alone. There are so many of us that are the same, you know? And we may have different
100%.
We may have different perspectives, but what's really cool is when you sit down and you have a conversation instead of getting like insane, then you can learn a different perspective and look at it a different way, and it can add a whole different layer to your story that you already loved so much that you didn't expect.
Well, and every piece of this opens this whole world up to somebody new, right? Someone will find Anne's books, and maybe even the Vampire Chronicles won't be the thing that really hits for them, but they will find her books, period, because of this TV series, because of the hubbub that
you've
you all
added
are
2
creating.
to the Coven as it is.
That's right, exactly. I mean, you were addressing me directly.
Yes.
I meant, I think all the time.
You literally have added 2 to the Coven.
I hadn't thought about it in that way. Yeah, it is. Boy, it's now part of my legacy. That's delightful. I love this conversation with you all so very much. Thank you all for helping us do it, and I'm very sorry already to the many pieces of content that we will not discuss in this show.
We may have to do a back around.
We may do another. Yeah, Camilla Austin says she loved the long table as a means of conclusion. With the way they chose to tell Lestat's story in this version, whatever one may think about it, I think it was a great way to tie his emotional journey this season together by letting him have it out with himself through his ghosts. Yes, 100%. Also, the way he bounces back up from that shit that others and himself throws, I think I was pretty fucking great. Yeah,
that's my guy.
I think I was pretty fucking great. I mean, like, listen, y'all, it's Lestat's my way, really, and I know it's one of the reasons why it's so frustrating that he doesn't sing Butterscotch Bitch until the episode is actually over. But like, he literally dissected all of his failures, and then he said, you know what?
Fuck it.
I did okay. Yep. Kelly and I talk all the time about seeing some other parent struggle with some issue or something, or, oh, God forbid, we like go to some of our children's friends, their family's house or something, and you see like, oh, the expectations, the resources available, the attention given, et cetera, is just like vastly different than what happens in our house. And it's one of those moments you come home and you go, little pat on the back. Hey, you know how we're always worried that we're doing anything okay? We're doing fine, actually.
Fine.
We're doing...
Or it's like when you have one of those moments where you're like, we nailed it. We definitely nailed it. And you get to have a high five and you're like, we're killing it.
I think I was pretty fucking great.
Pretty fucking great. Mm.
So many loose threads left, but that only points to a definitive season 4, maybe season 5, 100%. Also, Camilla says they were not the biggest fan, still not the biggest fan of how they chose to do Gabriella, even though I adore Jennifer Ely's scary way of playing Gabs.
She's so good.
Yeah, again, you can differ with the choice on the character, but like, they're doing it well. They're doing it well.
I agree. This has been a real sliding point for me because they did take her to a much more monstrous, damaging, abusive place than she actually is as the character as I know her, you know, but
yes.
But man, they went there and she fucking nailed it. She's pretty fucking great.
She's pretty fucking great. You're right. Rollin had mentioned Hedwig and the Angry Inch as inspiration, and I had Velvet Goldmine in my mind of the influences too. Both those movies tell stories with music carrying the message, give flashbacks to the past, explaining the present, and have characters who have been abused, like Lestat has. I was expecting the music and storytelling to be inspiration similar, but not the experiences of the characters. That was an interesting similarity. Very, very good, Camilla, and strongly agree with that. All right. One thing on the inspiration side of it all and the telling stories through music, it again, like, once you wrap your mind around what they tried to do, it's so compelling. Like, and I cannot wait. I haven't done it yet. I know some of our members have. I cannot wait to go back and watch this literally in one sitting. Stream it all back to back to back to back to back. Watch it as a 7-hour fever dream, right? Or a 6.5 hour, whatever it be.
Because that's the vibe.
But it's just a fucking it's a musical, y'all. Like, have you gone and watched Fiddler on the Roof lately? Right? Like the highs and the lows and literally the dream sequences. And boy, sometimes those acts end on down beats, don't they? I mean, Fiddler on the Roof, nobody gets literally beheaded, but an act or two end on like, oh shit, we're all marching off to the Holocaust or something, you know? Like, yeah, like there's serious shit. Anyway, even a fairly light, quote unquote, this is a trope that we've seen in other theater, and they are hearkening back to an art form that they sort of danced around in their promotion and discussion. But again, like once you see what they did for us, it was a very artful magic trick, is my point. Very artful magic trick.
It was. I like the sleight of hand.
There you go. Speaking of the music, Amanda Ballinger says, I know some may disagree. I have adored the music this season. Daniel Hart has captured story. I feel like the folks who I feel like it's all people saying maybe a hot take, but I don't like the music. The ones who have said they don't like the music, I feel like have been like knowing they are in the they're in the rare. I mean, I think there have been some opinions of like, hey, it's actually like only like 3 bangers. I think y'all are falling too in love with it. I think there's some of that, and I think that's also fair.
That is fair, but then again, it's just like different ones of these songs hit differently with everybody because of their own personal experience. It's just like anything else, you know?
I'm a sucker for a good road song. My favorites are Plastic Fiends, Loneliness, Stained Glass Eyes, Brutal Love. Oh, which, by the way, the full album has now dropped as we're recording this.
I have not had time to listen to it yet, and I cannot wait.
I'm so far behind on my music reactions, and I'm waiting. I'm not listening to any of them really until I'm sitting down to record. And so, yeah, I'm way, way behind. I'm traveling for work for the next 2 weeks, and I'm trying to get ahead in Dark Shadows in particular, y'all, so I don't have to put a pause on that for our patrons. So that's where I am. Amanda continues, the catalog of original songs would be a remarkable achievement on its own, but when paired with Hart's extraordinary score, it becomes something even more impressive. Hearing those recurring musical motifs from season 1 and 2 of Interview with the Vampire immediately triggers a sensory memory. Yeah, it's sometimes I don't even realize where the music is coming from. Yeah. I just feel the feeling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
When I realize the score is there, I'm always a little surprised and then like in love immediately. I'm like, of course, this is how you took me there. Yeah.
The writing is brilliant. On a granular level, it's a wonderful blend of lightning fast wit interspersed with a singular fusion of both high and pop culture. Woo! On a macro level, the season is richly layered, simultaneously echoing the emotional beats of the first 2 seasons while exploring the evolution of Lestat's identity. The reverence for Anne Rice's source material, along with the countless Easter eggs left for longtime readers, feels like a series of love letters tucked between the scenes. Despite making at times dramatic departures from the novels, the writers consistently acknowledge and celebrate the world Rice created. Seeing Lestat use aliases lifted directly from the books, Sheridan Blackwood and Clarence Oddbody, it's just one small example of that attention to detail which stands in stark contrast to the adaptation of Mayfair Witches. There's much to praise about the Vampire Lestat. The one glaring problem for me with this adaptation is the characterization of Gabriella. Lestat's mother in the novels is a deeply complex and emotionally distant figure whose indifference and fierce desire for independence fuel Lestat's crushing loneliness and lifelong isolation. In the novels, Gabriella does not take him to watch young women accused of witchcraft burn alive. In fact, no such execution has occurred in Lestat's village for over a century. That's something that I don't think we have talked. We did talk about Gabriella doesn't take him to the witch's place. The witch's place is a story that he's told. I had forgotten, honestly, that it was that distant.
You know, like a boogeyman story. Yeah.
It's a priest who brings Lestat and Nikki there together. They go there together. When your mother came to get you, this is Nikki quoted from the books. When your mother came to get you, she said it was all ignorance and cruelty. She was so angry with the priest for telling us the old tales. Victims of superstition, she had said. There were no real witches. That love simply isn't enough to overcome her overwhelming desire to be free from femininity, free from motherhood, free from dependence, free from every expectation imposed upon her. Jennifer Ely captures that aspect of Gabriella beautifully when she says that for her character, vampirism is liberation. She also has the great line in the show where she says, "I belonged to no one," talking about her train running fantasy or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
And that's my gal. That's my Gabs, you know? Like and she is monstrous and cold. But anyway, carry on because this is very good here.
First of all, we're just going to say there's like 67 total comments in this thread. It's pinned at the top of our Facebook group. Go join. Also, if you're not really a Facebook person, but you're like, yeah, okay, I'll join for just so I can hang out in this group and do the commenting. Do just agree to the rules, and we're beginning to police it a little more thoroughly. Ashley was talking about spoilers. Literally, the spoilers in our group, y'all. The spoilers in our group got crazy. We removed a bunch of people's automatic approval for their post. Like many people had automatic approval for posts, but they were posting like videos from the episodes in some cases. I was like, no, ma'am. No, we're not going to do that. All right. So I'm not going to get to all of this, but like you can read all of these. I mean, genuinely pages and pages of essays. You can go access.
Good takes too. It's really interesting. Really, and I guarantee you're going to see something in there that is going to resonate with you in a way you didn't expect.
Amanda says, I understand why the showrunners made such dramatic changes, talking about Gabriella specifically. I simply don't agree with it. Ironically, the adaptation sacrifices precisely the kind of psychological ambiguity that distinguishes Anne Rice's characterization. In simplifying Gabriella into the primary source of Lestat's trauma, the series trades complexity for narrative efficiency. And I hadn't really thought about that, honestly. Like, the fact that you and I both adore the character of Gabrielle in the books as this independent woman, as a trans-coded character, perhaps, as a vision of a feminine figure, casting off every definition of that as society has construed it, right? Including even motherhood, to the degree that we also sort of dislike her. Specifically, you and I always pick on her for not teaching Lestat how to read.
She sucks as a mom. She totally sucks as a mom. Yeah.
But if you take that and you make her literally the sexually assaulting predator that is at the core of why Lestat can't understand and can't accept love.
Yeah.
Right. Then it takes her from being a complex figure to being more like a Marius, honestly.
To being the abuser. Like, you're the abuser. It makes you forget all the horrible things that his father did to him. It makes you forget all the horrible things anyone else ever did to him. It makes you fixate on the most horrible thing that Gabrielle did to him.
Yes. Okay. That is, I think, the biggest thing that this is the biggest thing that we lose by the time shift. We shifted Louis forward in time, and we kept Lestat at the same time as far as his birth and creation. And because of that, we got to get rid of the Marquis. In the book, the Marquis goes with Lestat to New Orleans. That's one of the reasons why he wants Louis's plantation, is because it's a nice place to stash his dad.
Yeah.
And if you had kept that, then Lestat's father could have been the source of all of I love him, and there are parts of me that feel bad that I didn't do more for him, and his whole family was fucking killed in the revolution and blah, 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 blah. But also he's a bastard, and he kept me from learning, and he kept me from my friendships, and he kept me from my art. And, you could put all of that trauma on Dad instead of the sexual assault of Gabrielle. They could have done it just with distance and with coldness from Gabriella. The incest takes the crumb of something that's in the novels and makes it the whole of their problem.
I don't even mind the vampiric incest. It really doesn't. I mean, they're vampires. It doesn't really fucking bother me. But her assaulting him at when they're human really, really disturbs me on a big level, because that is not something.
And the way that she uses sex as a power tool, to
which she
control
can because of that. Whereas, like if that were just kind of a weird part of them, connecting or whatever. I don't know. I watch dragons and incest, and I watch vampires and incest, and so I guess it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I have to take a bio break. I will be right back.
Bio break.
Jesus. When your podcast is so long that you have to take a bathroom break in the middle of it, y'all. I literally, Ashley, a little plug for our event. Go to articulatecoven.com/events for information on the great convergence happening in 2026 and 2027 for Halloween. We're going to be in New Orleans the weekend of Halloween. You can get tickets there on our website, articulatecoven.com/events. However, I just did flash and go, Joel, are you going to have to put an intermission into the show so you can go pee? I think I probably will. I drink a lot of fluids, y'all.
When I do too. And for some reason, when I drink alcohol, I don't have to pee as frequently. But if I'm drinking water or anything else, I'm like,
I don't know about you. For some reason with alcohol, I very much hold to that, like, you can't break the seal sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
100%.
mentally, I have like prepared myself for absorption, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Amanda, there's so much wonderful stuff in your thing. I feel, and you are not alone, by the way. Many of these we will skip over the best parts probably, but just go read this whole thread. Go hang out in these threads, y'all. Enjoy all of this commentary from people. Charlotte Edwards, although I have missed the chance to see many small and wonderful moments from the books due to the necessity of making a propulsive story that works for TV episodes. You're right. We got to have momentum, right? We got to move forward. We can't stop for 350 pages while Marius details what it was like. You think about the fact that Marius spends like 100 pages before he turns into a vampire, where he's talking about being in Rome and getting kidnapped by Mael. That lasts for so long in the book.
Yeah.
And we love it. We love it all. I'm just saying, great television it would not have made for an episode and a half to be spent in a cell with Mael and Marius. Okay. Even with all of that, I found so much to enjoy this season. I think they did a fantastic job of giving show-only viewers the absolute shock of opening the second book and being greeted directly by the vain and glorious brat prince instead of sad and stoic poetic Louis. The long table, a brilliant metaphor. So many people enjoyed that. And gives the feeling of the final few books with the many scenes of the Vampiric Council. I can't imagine that we will get that far in the show, so interesting to see it now. My favorite parts were the glimpses of the unstoppable force for joy in the face of horror that is Lestat's true nature for me, smiling at Nicky and poking his tongue out before floating up during his gig. The little hop up into the air during his rehearsal. Yes. Think about that day. First of all, his mother lover, and his boyfriend, the love of his life, are sitting there, and actually the love of his life doesn't know that that's his mother. And he's trying to prepare for a performance in front of 50,000 vampires. You think there's a lot on Lestat's mind in that moment? And yeah, he's doing a fucking twirl in the air in the middle of his song, a little flair for you.
Doing a Billy Idol cover.
Yes, it's so fucking true. That is Lestat. That is so Lestat. Also, is Alex taking on, I had not thought about this at all. Is Alex taking on young book Daniel's story thread of losing his mind and buying a train set, etc., etc.? Alex doesn't seem too well, although I can see Daniel is also looking a bit wobbly in his mental state. Anywho, I feel someone is descending directly into insanity soon, and maybe this will lead to more Nicky flashbacks. Very, very good point. You want to do Melissa Marie?
Yeah. I genuinely loved nearly everything about the season except a few things in order of how much I was bummed by them. I love this.
Melissa, you and I.
This is
so
it.
Simpatico.
Yeah. Number 1. Episode 2, Auvergne. Wolf's family, equals huge disappointment. Definitely the low point of the season for me. 2.
Spoiler alert, it is my bottom ranked episode of the whole fucking season. It's the last one. Yeah.
Yeah, I do not.
Yeah, no, the whole series, not just the season.
Yeah,
yes.
I figured it would be your least
bottom.
Least I've never heard you bitch that hard ever.
Don't hate it. I don't hate it, but I was very upset.
God, I loathe Daniel this season, but the release of the video online was the final straw. He can die bad now. Thank you very much. 3. Yeah. I do think we need more Armand to fully appreciate how deep his resentment for Louis was in the final. I am also yearning for more of Armand Lestat backstory and hope we get it. Shout out to all the usual breathtaking performers, but I want to add how much I love Jennifer Ely's performance. People loathe her. I get it, but that tells me the actor did her job exactly as intended. Super psyched for Sheila, and Delaney really rose to a new level for me. If she moves on, I pray she gets roles worthy of her talent.
I agree. I almost wholeheartedly second all of that. Yeah, as far as Daniel and dying badly, I am fucking singing right now in my head, Chicago. He had it coming. He had it coming. He only had himself. Oh, I'm going to forget this if I don't mention this here. But Alan Taylor specifically clarified the final moment of Lestat on the balcony in Montreal overlooking the destruction is not during the daytime. That is an early evening shot. He is not in sunlight.
Twilight. It was supposed to be in twilight.
Yes, that is a signifier of Lestat being an early riser. Most other vampires are not awake at that point, but it also ain't sunlight. So that is we talked about some theories, and well, it can't be this because not necessarily. Alan says, "Not so fast, my friend.
Calm down. Calm down, children."
Yeah. Okay. The one thing that I want to add about the Lestat backstory and Armand in particular. That is, I think, the best thing about what our showrunners and our network execs have made clear that they want this cast to continue. The best part of that is the dynamic between our major players, Armand, Louis, Lestat, I think Akasha will, at least for the next season or two, will be a major player at that level. But those three particularly, Louis, Lestat, and Armand, that is what this series is most directly about.
Yeah. And I really, honestly, I actually love Claudia. I am not a Claudia hater. I love Claudia. I really think we can let Claudia go.
I think that we may revisit the grief. I think we may revisit even the afterlife of it all.
We may revisit scenes, but I don't think she'll be a series regular next season.
I don't think so either. I think she will be a cameo. And they may bring her back every season even to remind us and tease
they will
later
be haunted
stories or
by
something.
her forever.
Well, that's the thing. She doesn't have to be. As a matter of fact, her absence may make the haunting heavier.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that she is not continually around in the form of a Regina or an actual ghost is not required. Jason Revington, I loved this season. They promised Rockstar Lestat in the original teaser, and they provided us with fucking Rockstar Lestat. He was messy. He was ego-driven. He was stunning as hell, and he was all I wanted to see on my screen. I appreciate how they had stories for our beloved returning characters, Louis, Daniel, Armand, Claudia. I love the introduction of new characters like Gabriella, Akasha, Marius, Magnus, the band. I'll add in here Regina. Could, if you told me that ahead of time, I'd have been like, oh, I don't do that. That turned out great.
Yeah.
That turned out great. As a book fan, I had certain expectations and was glad that they subverted them. Yeah, so succinct, Jason, but yes. Brandon Marriott. See, the thing about IWTV is that they made whatever changes they felt they needed to tell their story, but they maintained the same story beats of the original book. That's what made it such a great fresh take on a half-century-old story. With the Vampire Lestat, TVL, they didn't really do that. They took a fraction of the novel and blew it up into something completely their own, ignoring the vast majority of the book. Dare I say, it was given the Mayfair approach. The wolf killer scene was a defining moment in Lestat's life and was disappointingly glossed over. Condensing his and Nikki's story was hard to watch, and we got next to nothing on Marius's history, another big big part of the book. Not to mention the lack of a final concert and Akasha Rising. Okay, right there, I'll just say, we did film it. It's going to be coming. They literally cut it out because they had gotten a season 4. They were like, nope, we'll tell a different story since we know we're going to do that.
Better to launch it this way.
Yes. Okay, so Brandon here basically feels like I felt at certain times in the middle of the season. However, he says, still a lot of positives too. Sam's performance was exceptional as always. Seeing Armand in full-on gremlin mode was brilliant. Seeing Magnus come to life was really great. And of course, the music. It's not quite what I hoped for, but still at least it was a lot of fun. Update. Now all the episodes are available, and I have a complete understanding of what the show is trying to be. I went back and rewatched the whole thing. I did enjoy it more this time around. I still would have preferred the format that the first 2 seasons used, with more time spent on Lestat's past, but for what it is, it soothes the scratchy itch I have to see this world on TV. My pride and loyalty to the book prevent me from saying more. Beautiful. First of all, Brandon, I think you ended up about where I was too. I think you like it maybe even more than you were willing to admit there. Okay. Yes, almost 100% I second that statement. I still would have preferred the format that the first 2 seasons used, with more time spent on Lestat's past. If I had my druthers, the Joel Sharpton showrun version of this is very similar in look to seasons 1 and 2, with Interview with the Vampire and Lestat telling his story through Daniel in an interview format, honestly. And you know what? It wouldn't have been as original or as artistic. This is, in some ways, frustrating because it's not what I would have done. And yet, though, I'm telling you, they made us a Renaissance painting. And like, you might not love every aspect of every Renaissance painting, but there's a reason we hang the goddamn Mona Lisa in the fucking Louvre, right?
The cats look real fucked up, but some of those paintings are real good.
But I mean, like, you go and you look into the layers of this thing. And I think when we revisit this over time, just like the novel, where you and I and Derek and Productive Wallaby and Brandon and all of us can take something different away from the experience, we're all going to do that for this series, for this season specifically too. So I'm glad you came around on it. Also, you keep defending that book, baby. I'm with you on The Wolf Killer. I'll just go watch The Grey again. Don't worry about it. I'll just go watch The Grey. Productive Wallaby. I loved it. I'm a book reader. Despite changes, I've been giddy every week for the next episode, like low-key obsessed. Have waited 25 years for an adaptation. Firstly, they needed to confirm it was 2 seasons. Would have made watching more comfortable rather than asking, is this all we're getting? Wallaby, I was a little disappointed today when they said we're going on to Queen of the Damned. I was like, you couldn't...
That necessarily means we're done here, Joel.
No, I mean, of course you're right. And look, we've got Fareed already, and Fareed doesn't exist for 12 books, right? So, like, there are parts of the Prince Lestat, and there are parts of Blood Communion, and there are parts of Blood Canticle.
We're not supposed to know Merrick yet.
Exactly. So we've pulled forward a lot of things, which means that we will also pull back a lot of things as we go forward in the series. That makes sense. I know that. And yet, I did. I'm even now sitting here. I'm like, but they're all Lestat's books. You're not going to give him even just one more fucking season with his name on the headline? And like, I was putting on a little character there. I'm not mad about it. Sheila is going to be amazing. I'm glad she's getting to be the lead. But y'all heard what I said. I said give her a season on her own, telling all the backstory of the ancient vampires while we're doing the final season of the Vampire Lestat, and do some more backstory there too. I trust these showrunners. They've all got jobs in Hollywood, and I don't. Y'all trust me to make a good podcast and tell y'all about it afterwards. Okay, we'll all trust each other.
We'll all do our jobs.
Yeah. The music has been phenomenal. Having full songs available feels like Easter eggs because they have extra that were not played in the show. 100%. Let's see. Okay. I thought this was good. One of the things that they missed, I wanted specific details to his generosity. He had this horrific thing happen, and despite that, take chunks of his new wealth and immediately gifts his loved ones and nieces and nephews and the theater, etc., etc. I always found this so endearing. Ashley, how many poor people? You and I both come from like the common stock, as it were. We are not the elites of the South.
I like to say peasant stock.
Yeah, peasant stock. We're both built like peasant stock, honestly, too. Made for running from our English overlords.
My actual genetics. I am peasant stock. I believe the it's not necessarily the preferred nomenclature, but I believe the local flavor people might refer to us as a little white trashy around the edges.
A little white trashy. We are, so I guess we can claim it, right? But I know so many people in my life. I've done it myself, right? I've sat and daydreamed about what if when I buy the lottery's up to 400 million or whatever, and I buy my ticket.
Fully know what I would do. Yeah, 100%.
But it's like, I don't know about you, but I'm like, I'm building a commune, right? I'm paying off my mama's bills.
First
I'm paying
thing,
off my
building a commune for my
bills
friends and family to live in. Yep. We all have our own houses and a community pool.
With some significant guest space to bring in folks that don't get to live there, but can come and visit on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
But that's removed from me, right? A little bit too. Anyway, in these daydreams, I'm so generous. And yes, that part of Lestat's story, Magnus gifted you unlimited lucre. Yeah. And then Lestat gave like tons of it away. It was basically unlimited. So like we're not going to praise Lestat that much.
Well, and I will also say sometimes giving the money away was in his best interest and to serve his purposes. Sometimes
like paying off the theater and running away, as he put it in the TV series.
Exactly. Like, here, let me leave you with my problem boyfriend. See what you can figure out.
But okay, the fact that he is nobility is secondary to the fact that he's a country bumpkin, right? Like Lestat is this country brute with aspirations and dreams and an interest in an artistic, cosmopolitan, aristocratic way of life, right? And then he gets to live out that fantasy. And so many of us reading the books, I think, very much enjoyed that aspect of it. So yes,
it is. It's
hear
very
you.
Nice. Well, and we truly, both Joel and I do love the Roger of it all too. We love that he has his, his trusty lawyers that help him take care of business.
It was one of my favorite moments in the finale when he says inevitable complaints to Roger and Associates.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you scroll down a little bit and do Samantha Martinez?
All right.
The next
These last 7 weeks have been such an amazing journey for me. I came into this thinking that it would be too much for me with what I saw in the trailer, child abuse mostly. But seeing the chaos of the concerts and the emergence and emotions of Lestat reminded me I was actually more stronger and capable than I thought at the beginning of the season. I was in a funk due to a suspension at work, but now I realize if Lestat can come back after being called failure so many times, facing his past and being seen as a monster and rise above it and claim himself, including his successes, then so can I, and reclaim my failures as well as my successes. And remember that no one can take my wolf killer moments, even when they try to knock me down. Boom! That's our girl.
Right, Samantha, first of all, beautifully put and good for you. Ashley, we talk on this show pretty often about, you and I both have like a fairly, it's not a Pollyanna. We're both very realistic people, but we also do have an optimism in us. We've got a little spring in our step. We've got a joy in our souls that this world can't take away from us, right?
No,
it's one of the reasons why Lestat speaks to us more than Louis. Louis has that depressive core in his little hole that he cannot fill. Lestat has holes that he can't fill too, but none of those holes can pull the flame of the joy away.
I moved into my college dorm with Winnie the Pooh bedding. You cannot take my whimsy. You cannot. It cannot be stolen from me. I have to have a little bit of positivity. I'm a very realistic person, but I can take the shit and figure out something to do with it.
At the core is because in the end, I think I was pretty fucking great.
I think I was pretty fucking great.
My mom told somebody after Jenna and I had started at college, she said, I may have many problems with my children, but lack of self-confidence is never going to be one of them. Tommy Sweeney wants to know, burning question, how did Armand teach Daniel to walk in the sun. Okay, first of all, I think you're being facetious, Tommy. I think that's please show us the lessons that Armand and Daniel gave to each other, I think is the question that you're really asking. Heather says, yes, this, please. Yes, please. Okay. I do know though, and there's another question later about Armand. In case we don't get to it, we'll answer the question anyway. But this, I think, for those of you that are confused, I think that's literally, I could teach you to walk in the sun. I think what he's saying is I can give you that power. They shared blood enough, right? That Daniel leveled up.
Yeah. Okay. He leveled up. He leveled up Roy up. Hopefully he got a couple other special things with it. Maybe he can set shit on fire now.
Okay, so Judah asked me about this. Is it always linear? Does the power levels ramp up? Do you always get one before the other? And I said, I think that's a little unclear. I also know in the novels, first of all, the TV world may be different as far as power levels go than the novels. But in the novels, there are certain vampires that technically have an ability and yet either mentally or emotionally can't or won't use it.
Yeah.
We've talked about this. Louis, at the end of the books, by the end of the books, Louis can almost definitely fly, but he doesn't. He will like hang on to Lestat and let Lestat fly him somewhere, but he still doesn't want to lose that part of his humanity.
Somebody else doesn't like to fly. I'm trying to remember who it is.
Isn't it Cayman? I think it's Cayman that hates to fly. He does do it, but he does not care for it.
I remember that being a section in probably Queen of the Damned where somebody was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Off we go. And Lynn
Williams says, shouting out the amazing score by Daniel Hart. If you listen to the episode without watching the score, the score really hits. Episode 7 during the witches scene, top tier. Okay, so many people have talked about it. We've talked about it, I think. Does not hurt to talk about it again. Whenever we get our hands on this full score and we can listen to it like that.
Whew.
Episode 7, the witches scene, the way that he builds it is reminiscent to me a little bit of the end of the second episode of season 2, where they end up in Paris and Lestat and Louis is doing the "You and Me" speech.
Yeah.
In that area, the music it has a similar build to it. Just incredibly emotionally resonant.
The whole score, it just pops in and out, and the way it surprises me, and it's been playing probably for minutes, and I haven't even noticed yet. I just love it.
Corey wants to school you a little bit, Ashley, on some musical history. Funny, Ashley likes the pink corset outfit. That outfit is very James Brown. No corset, but very fitted waist. Okay, mm-hmm. I know the exact outfit that Corey is referencing now that they brought it up. They're 100% right. That is a James Brown outfit. Yes, Prince wore many similar items, but who do you think influenced Prince? If you haven't seen it, by the way, there is a great video. If you go to YouTube and search for this, you can find it. But there's a James Brown concert where he's performing somewhere. I don't know if he was in Philly or Chicago or Detroit or what, but he's performing somewhere and Prince is in the audience, but Michael Jackson is also in the audience, and James Brown brings them both on stage.
I love it.
And Michael Jackson gets his ass handed to him. Prince moonwalks all over his ass as far as what he's performing. And apparently, if you go watch, I can't remember the series. There's a series where they interviewed a bunch of people from the music industry. It's like Tales from the Road or Tales from the Bus or something. Mike Judge did it, I think. But they animate the people interview, like they animate the story over the thing. There's a whole episode that is about the rivalry between Michael Jackson and Prince, and the reason why it got so bad was because of that night when James Brown invited him on stage.
That is fucking hilarious. I love James Brown. James Brown was the fucking man.
He was really something. And again, like Lestat, incredibly complicated, a fucking dangerous man in many ways. Not a healthy man to be around, perhaps, in some ways. Also drug addicted in the end. Like, he ran his life into a fucking brick wall towards the end, but incredibly musically talented. Also like a philosopher in his own right. Like the shit this man would drop sometimes, you'd be God damn.
An actual just incredible tour de force on stage as a performer.
Yeah. Waterloo says, I feel like we are missing at this stage a huge chunk of what the Talamasca have been up to. and Waterloo, you nailed it on the head. Rollins said it. Many people were doing many things this season that we have yet to see.
Yep.
Yeah. Raglan turned up to save Lestat and mentioned to Daniel that Rashid was at the butcher's shop where the body was. I don't think there was any intention to save Louis, though. Only Lestat because they want the concert to go ahead for some reason. First of all, I disagree with you there. If the intention was to have Lestat do the concert, you had to save Louis.
There's no way Lestat's doing anything if they let Louis die.
Yeah. I mean, genuinely, he says it even in the show. The thing that saved them from my wrath was I realized and he says, where is Louis without us hearing it. But genuinely, he would have set that bus aflame. Like we haven't seen Lestat's gifts and powers really unleashed. I know we watched him beat the fuck out of Louis in season 1.
Yes.
But like he was in fact holding back that whole time. We have not seen him do what he can do yet. And he would have done it to that tour bus and that crowd and Gabriella and Raglan James and all of them if Louis had not been involved in the saving, probably. Okay, seems like Alex may have been the Talamasca's eyes in the park when the beheading happened. I strongly suspect they were also part of Daniel's growing resentment as they used him to get to Louis earlier, and we don't know what else he was passing to them before he became pals with Armand. So yes, I do think that the Talamasca is likely playing both sides against each other, right? They are both setting up, I think, the Great Conversion, as they have now admitted to, but I also think they have a plan for what to do about the Great Conversion. I know Raglan's like, let the vamps freely graze or whatever, but they don't want the population collapse. That doesn't work for anybody.
No.
Like more deaths than births does not actually work long term. So there's another turn to this whole plan, and we haven't discovered. Again, I think maybe the season 4 reveal, Kelly was mad because it's Armand all along. I think season 4 reveal will actually be no, it was Raglan James all along. In fact,
Raglan James all along,
and the Talamasca. Okay, Net Pathetic. Hey, I was the one with the theory about Inkill. We talked about maybe Lemuel is actually Inkill and that he hadn't been killed, and that's how Louis now has the fire gift or the flying gift and the cloud gift and everything. Net Pathetic says, I still believe the show could be doing more with him, but I agree that right now it makes more sense if he is actually Seth. Okay, and then spinning off of that, Melissa Bouchard came back and says, I rewatched episode 2 with a friend tonight, and I noticed when Fareed talks about the decapitation study, he says the study was in Budapest.
Shoot.
So whoever was watching that final butcher scene in Budapest, it seems they are continuing their study about decapitation. I'm halfway through the podcast episode because I'm traveling and I'm in Prague. Oh, this isn't Melissa anymore. I'm in Prague traveling and I hunted some season 2 locations. However, I love the season. I do wish the last episode was double length and that they showed the concert. I do have questions. I love hearing everyone's thoughts and theories. I mentioned my probably biggest problem in a thread that was deleted, namely that Lestat is less of a brat and unwilling to do the concert, etc. There was speculation that being disinterested in the concert comes from the time-setting change from the optimistic 80s to current times. That makes sense, but it seems that changing his character before the blood of Akasha was only to illustrate hers and Gabriella's impact on him, and I still question that. Reply, or Ari, Alex, I agree with Ashley. Armand 100% wanted him to be turned by Lestat, etc. And I also think he veiled his mind and Larry's murder from Alex. I think Armand killed Larry to embitter Alex towards Lestat. Also, Seth could not be as interested in worldly affairs as to be a lawyer. I don't buy Lemuel being Seth at all. First of all, we don't know that Lem was a lawyer, actually. He was representing Mr. Pitt in that boardroom, in that meeting room, as if he were a lawyer. Well, but he didn't. Yeah. Nobody ever said that.
He's just a representative of, because it's more of a business meeting than it is
negotiation tactics.
Yeah, they're just like, you owe us money for trashing our hotel.
Okay, I'm not going to spoil it, but I will just say we referenced it already. Richard Duarte said, I want to see Lestat walk down that table again, but the next time spoiler, and several people agreed. Yes, we do want to see him walk down that table again, baby. Okay, I feel better about the 22 pages now because we're at the end of it. Look at that.
We fucking did it.
It was really big, y'all. There's so much we left out, genuinely, and I'm so sorry for everybody who made brilliant commentary on this that we didn't talk about. But
we're going to go back and read it, and we're encouraging everyone else to do it.
That's right. Go and do it. And again, like, this is an ongoing conversation. Ashley and I will have at least 2 more episodes before we put this to bed in the short term. And then we will come back and we will revisit this many times in the future. Whenever we get a scheduling for season 4, you can guarantee that we will at least do a rewatch of season 3 of Interview with of the Vampire Lestat. But I mean, we may, depending upon the timelines, do a whole fucking series rewatch again.
Yeah.
My guess is probably what we'll do is like, here's season 1 and some of our thoughts about it, and here's season 2 and some of our thoughts. We've done season 1 now twice or 3 times already, I think.
We've done I think
3 times for season 1 and twice, I think, now for season 2. But still, there will be more conversation to be had. So if you've got feedback or some particular thought that we've missed, throw it back in the next couple of episodes.
Hit it back with us. Also, I don't know about any of the rest of you, but that trailer today, that teaser, really got me lit up and ready to reread Queen of the Damned.
So much so. Also, all of these things that we talk about missing, like, I want to go live in that wolf fight for a while. I want to go live in that early. I was listening to Nola talk about, he said I think I'm in love with him. And I thought, I want to go fall in love with Nikki, with Lestat again. I want to go do that.
And we can.
We can do it for the rest of our lives, y'all. That's what a beautiful gift Anne gave us. God bless her.
Yes.
God bless all of you, and bless all of you. Thank you so much for all of your feedback on this season. We got a couple of great episodes coming ahead of you. First and foremost, next week, we're going to be doing a rankings episode. We're going to rank every single episode of the whole season. Less homework for you than you think. Here's what I'm going to do.
No, it's not bad homework. This is good homework.
You just got to go look at the episode descriptions. Really is the way to do it.
Yeah, no, it's good.
I'm going to have all of our episode titles laid out. I'm going to have Ashley's list. I'm going to have Joel's list on like a little PowerPoint slide, so we can move the episode titles around and copy and paste them. So we can also put our final lists up for people when we're done. That's next week's topic. A week after that, we're going to do our AMA discussion. If you are a child of the millennia, a maker, or the queen herself, Miss Nancy, I buzzed you all today with a chat message in the Patreon. Y'all go hit the AMA thread and drop your questions there. Depending upon how many questions we get flooded with there, I may make a post in the Facebook group. But honestly, I ain't trying to have another 2-hour episode for that one. Speaking of 2-hour episodes, Ashley and I aren't done tonight. Patrons, you've got a discussion of Moulin Rouge coming up as we continue. We're finishing our Red Curtain trilogy discussions, but we're continuing this theme of performative LGBTQ plus aggressively positive movies. Next week, we're going to be talking about Wong Foo.
So
Thanks
excited.
for everything, Julie Newmar. And then we're going to be talking about Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. After that, listen, the way I am excited to watch Terrence Stamp get in those fucking outfits.
My God,
Ashley,
I haven't watched that since college, and I'm
so
very excited to rewatch it.
All right, y'all just thought I had a crush on Sam. Wait until I gush over Terrence Stamp. Kneel before Zod. Oh my God. Ooh, I got a trimmer.
Yes, okay. Daddy.
Yes, Queen. All right. Until next time, we have been your hosts. I am Joel.
I'm Ashley.
And we are the Articulate Coven. Thank you for sharing this time with the Articulate Coven. Support the show as either a free or paid member at articulatecoven.com/join. You can also find us on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Find more from the Coven with our sister show, Flan Again, covering the works of Mike Flanagan.